Fingers off the keyboards, put your pens down, it's time to listen up. So this week, you might be able to tell from my voice, I have a bit of a cold. So I'm going to talk about how to keep writing and how to keep your routine when life gets in the way. When life is like, absolutely not, we're not doing that today. For example, you might be unwell. You could have a busy schedule, you could just have things coming into your life that are unexpected that have to take priority. And I will talk about sickness because it's relevant to me right now. But if there's anything else that you can think of that might be something that throws a curveball into life and makes writing very hard, you can leave those down in the comments below. So when life throws a curveball, like an illness, and you have so much to do with your writing, you have your schedule set up like we talked about in the last video/podcast. You have all these goals that you want to achieve, and you have certain things that you need to do because for the algorithm to like you, there are certain things that you need to do, and you do need to post certain things at certain times and write certain things. So it can be a little bit stressful when you become unwell and you can't physically write, or you need to rest and you need to give yourself that time of not writing. It can be really hard because there's that sense of guilt when you're not writing. You kind of feel like you should be writing all the time, and if you're not writing or you're not doing something productive towards your writing, there is that sense of massive guilt. Sometimes sadness, just because we like writing so much. Sometimes you feel a little bit empty just because writing is a way to get those emotions out, those thoughts out, those creative, fun ideas and stories that you have built up in your head out into the world. Plus, the writing community is amazing, so not being able to connect with them can be quite hard when you're unwell, and it feels very isolating because they are a community, and they are a fantastic community, and they are people that you connect with even just online. It can be really sad when you can't jump online and connect with them. So first of all, we need to deal with that guilt and that sadness and all of those emotions, and I really don't have great advice when it comes to that. You kind of just have to let yourself be, let yourself sleep, know that a couple of days of not writing is not going to be the end of the world. When your body is sick, your mind is not going to work. So if you really wanted to, you could get up and write. But I'm going to be honest here. When I'm unwell, my writing skills plummet to below zero. Sometimes they don't make sense. The ideas that come out are real wacko. Grammar's not there, spelling's not there, nothing is there. I can't concentrate, I don't understand what I'm writing. By the start of a story to the end of a story, they're very different stories. Every sentence is a different story, so I always give myself permission not to write when I'm unwell, and I would recommend you doing that too. Because when your body is sick, your body needs rest, and when you're writing, it is not restful. Even if it's fun, even if it's joyful, even if it's something that you absolutely love, creating something from nothing takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of brain power. So I highly recommend letting yourself rest and taking that break, having a sleep for 3 days straight before jumping back into writing. But I will also talk about how to integrate writing into life when you're struggling and you are unwell. So my tip number 1 is to slow down. The goals that you have, throw them out. You're not going to achieve the same amount that you were. Say you wanted to write 1,000 words in a day. Now you're going to write 10 words because that is still achievable. That is still writing. But 1,000 words when you're unwell, it's going to be really, really hard. It's not something that I recommend trying to do. You want to make your goals as achievable as possible because you already feel so bad. Why would you want to dump an unachievable goal on top of that? Make it achievable, make it 10 words. If you manage to write 10 words, great. Have the goal of 10 more words. What's the worst that can happen? If you achieve it, good. If you want to stop, good. If you want to keep going, good. Keep going, it's fine. Just make your goal achievable so that you don't get upset. Because when you're sick, it's very easy to get upset. So make the goal more achievable for what you're doing. And if it's something else that's throwing curveballs at you, that's kind of the same advice that I would give, is just bring your writing goal down to an achievable number of words, or if it's a certain amount of blog posts, bring that down to something achievable, even if it's 0. If it's 0 posts, that's absolutely fine, especially when you're unwell. If you do 2 posts, bring it down to 1 post. But like I said, even 0 is fine, and it is hard to take because of the algorithm, and the algorithms just like people who post a lot. But you need to get healthy, you need to stay alive, you need to be well, because what's the point in blogging if you're never going to get well and you're just going to be sad and sick all the time because all you do is blog and you never let yourself rest. I don't see any point in that, so let yourself rest, make sure that you get better so that you can actually enjoy blogging and writing and publishing and doing all the amazing things that you're doing. Advice number 2. So we talked about writing routines. Throw that out. That's not going to happen while you're unwell, while you're busy, while life's just throwing things at you. You're not going to be able to do the routine. I know it's hard for me to say, but you've got to throw out that routine. And you've got to fit writing in where you can. If you're not well, you're probably not going to wake up first thing, jump out of bed, sit down and write a million things, doing a million things. You're going to sleep a lot. So sleep a lot. And when you're awake, when you have that energy, grab your laptop, sit in bed, write those 10 words, put the laptop down, put it away, sleep again. When you have the energy and you actually want to write, don't force yourself. But when you want to, pick it up again and keep going. That is what I've been doing. I do not recommend trying to stick to a writing routine. It's just not going to work. And especially when life's throwing things at you that you just can't reschedule, because life always has moments like that. Don't try to prioritize the writing routine, because writing should add to your life. It should not become your life. So fit writing around whatever is happening that you can't move. If you have a half hour in between unmovable activities, write for half an hour. Write for 10 minutes and then take 20 minutes to rest and give yourself time to recuperate. If you're unwell, write in between naps. As I said, you really, really got to make things achievable and make things work for you. And there's no point in trying to change what life is throwing at you, because life is persistent and will keep throwing things at you. And the more you try to ignore it, the more it throws at you, and the heavier things it throws at you. So rest up, take that time, let life know that you acknowledge it, and then fit writing in where you can. And making that goal achievable and small, like just 10 words, if that's all you can fit in. We all have moments like that. We all have times like that. Sometimes it's months, sometimes it's years, sometimes it's weeks, sometimes it's a day. But it all comes into our life. You're not failing or doing anything wrong. Life is just happening. And you can keep writing, you can keep doing your thing, you can keep up with, I suppose, the habit. You might not be able to keep up with everything that you were doing, but you can keep up with the habit, which means when life goes back to normal or things ease, or you have the energy and the time to get back into writing, you'll still have that habit and you will still be used to it. So you can jump back into the routine that you had and the goals that you had easier than if you took a complete break. So that's something else that you can do. Another thing is to pick writing activities that elevate you, that feel easy, that feel light, that feel good to the soul. If you're writing a novel and that's suddenly feeling very heavy and your brain can't concentrate on it and words aren't coming out and it just feels too hard, on a normal day, you can go check out my How to Stay Motivated as a Writer video/podcast. But while you're unwell or while life is throwing things at you, pick a different activity. Maybe you also have a blog, and a blog post is shorter and it's less work for the brain. Perhaps there's a prompt that you can follow that's a little bit fun, it's a little bit light, it's something that you kind of read the prompt maybe and you're like, oh, that's kind of fun. And then you write a little story, maybe it's only 3 sentences, that's okay. Whatever you can manage is okay. People like short form stories anyway, so 3 sentences is perfect. People can read it and then get on with their busy day. It's excellent. So pick what is easy, or pick what your mind feels it's capable of. Because if you're sleeping 12 hours a day and then you try to write 1,000 words, like your brain's sleeping 12 hours a day just to cope with being awake. It's not gonna want you to add those 1,000 words on there as well. Just do 100 words, do 10 words. I like to have my goals really, really small and really, really achievable, and then I build up from there. And if a blog post is too much, maybe go on Reddit and answer something on Reddit. If that's too much, see if someone's commented on something of yours, apply to that comment. If that's too much, you could write just a singular word on the novel. If that's too much, close your laptop, close your notebook, just go back to bed, because it's okay for it to be too much. Writing is a lot. It's a lot of work. People don't realize, I think, how much work it is simply because of how fun it is, but it is a lot of work and it's exhausting and it's tiring. And if that's not something that you're up to, don't do it. There's no pressure. There's no need. I know you want to finish that book. I know you want to write those blogs. I know you want to get your name out there. But sometimes you just need to take a moment for yourself, and there is nothing wrong with that. Sometimes another tip/reason that we could be struggling with everything that's going on, or we're unwell, or whatever's happening in life, we just become too overwhelmed and too stressed, and our brain can't do it. I don't know what to say at this point, but your brain just can't focus on the words or the writing. It's just overwhelmed. There's too much going on. It just can't do it. So you could try a different activity that's also sort of to do with writing. Like, you could paint a picture, you could draw a picture, you could doodle, and then you could write a little bit about that, about the painting, about the doodle, about the drawing. You could do some craft, write a story about that. You could go for a little walk. You could write about the walk, the thoughts that you had, what you saw. You could have a nap, write about the nap. If you had a dream, you could write about the dream. Yeah, there's lots that you can do that involve looking after yourself and where you need, as well as making sure that that habit of writing is still there. And if you really need to keep up that writing routine, there are some tips to help you out. So you can, if you're really, really exhausted, if you're really unwell, if you're not getting enough sleep, but you just need to reach all those goals, write from bed. You might fall asleep while you're doing it. Great. You're welcome. It's a writing lullaby. It's a reading lullaby. I don't know. People read before bed. You can read your own work and edit it, and that can be how you fall asleep. Right from bed. I know there's a lot of advice saying only use bed for sleep. That's great advice, but if you're struggling, write in bed. I've been writing in bed this week. I think it's a great thing. I still sleep a lot. Write from your bed. Like I said, making those goals achievable, but if you're not into that, if you're into keeping the goals at maximum, even when you're struggling, which is a little bit what I do, you can break it up throughout the day. So instead of sitting down and being like, okay, I have to achieve this by this time, which again is what I do, you can break it up and be like, okay, I'm going to do this one activity, but instead of finishing the whole thing in one go, I'm going to break it up into like 5 parts. Say you want to write 1,000 words for your novel, you can say, okay, I'm going to write 100 words now. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to come back to it in an hour, and I'm going to write another 100. And you just keep going like that throughout the day. Or when you get up and you're like, oh, I need to have some soup to make me feel better while you're eating the soup because you're sitting up anyway. You can be reading through your work, you can be writing a piece, or you might have a little bit of energy after you eat, so you quickly do a bit of work then, and then you take a break and you rest, because we all need rest. If you're taking public transport, if you're in the life is hectic kind of realm of things, say you take public transport, you can do your work on the trains, buses, in cars, but only if you're not driving. If you're driving, don't do that. You could maybe do voice to text, but that just seems like a lot of multitasking. I would not recommend that. If you're going on, say, family trips or family days, depending on how much time you need to spend with the family, you can take a moment, and if you have a hotspot, if you're able to do that, you can hotspot yourself. And you can work on it at the beach, at the picnic. If you can't get a moment to yourself, but you really, really, really need to do your writing, take yourself off to a bathroom. Just pretend like you're taking an extra long time in there and just write away. That one, don't let anyone figure it out. But there are lots of ways to fit writing in when life just won't let it fit. If you have any other tips on how to fit writing in when you just can't manage, let me know in the comments below. Alright, you can pick up your pens and put your fingers back on the keyboard. Happy writing!